Hi, everyone, and welcome to our pre-departure orientation for fall 2021. My name is Aaron Morelli, and just as a reminder, we are recording today's presentation, but please feel free to put your questions into the chat as we go through this presentation. We'll try to have them answered as we're presenting, but if not, we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. And again, please keep yourselves muted until the end of the presentation, just to make sure that we're having the optimal internet speed for everybody. But with that being said, Mike, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, everyone, and good morning from Duquesne University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My name is Mike Burke, and I am the Director of International Student Services here at Duquesne's Center for Global Engagement. Whether you're joining us from near or far, or whether it's early or late where you are, we just really want to thank you for joining us today. So in our office and when we're meeting with students, we often talk about like what an advantage the city we're located in is, as far as the whole Duquesne experience. And just a little anecdotal story I'll tell you about that is that I am not originally from Pittsburgh, and I lived overseas for a great portion of my life. And a few years ago, when I decided to repatriate to the United States, I could have lived anywhere, but Pittsburgh, PA was the area I chose, and yeah, that's my little ode to Pittsburgh story. Aaron?
Yeah. And everybody, my name is Aaron Morelli. I'm the manager of international admissions and recruitment here at Duquesne. But like Mike, I'm not from Pittsburgh, but I'm also a little bit closer. I grew up 2 hours north of here, so I'm very, very familiar with the area, and I have a lot of family around here. But Pittsburgh truly is one of my favorite cities in the world, especially just because living right downtown in the heart of the city, you have such a great access to nature and the outdoors. And that's always been really important for me growing up in the countryside. So it's a really, really great city. It has a very large city feel, like a large city space with that small city kind of feel. So I feel like it's the best of both worlds to get all of the benefits of a large city, but not be too overcrowded sometimes, as I've seen through the world in my travels. But again, there's tons of live music, there's a lot of events, there's always something happening in Pittsburgh, and especially during the summer. In the picture above, you can see a couple of the parks and the bridges. I mean, they're always filled with tons of different cultural music events, great cuisine. I'm a really big foodie, so that's really important for me. And it's great to be able to try so many different international and domestic cuisines all throughout the city. But today this is for you guys to be asking us questions. So please fill up the chat box if you have any questions about Duquesne or your arrival for this fall. And congratulations once again on your acceptance to Duquesne University. We're really excited to have you this fall. And today we'll be going over your enrollment next steps, your account access and multi-pass, what campus life and housing looks like for international students, some final documents and forms we may need for you or for you to bring with you, and your arrival to campus, orientation, and finally tuition payments for the fall semester. So here are some of the enrollment next steps. First, you really want to read through your acceptance packet that has been shared with you either from your school specifically or from our office. And we have a bunch of these links. Again, we'll be sharing this presentation with you after today's meeting. So you'll be able to click on a lot of these links and use these resources. But we have an international life page, a Life at Duquesne page. We have over 200 organizations on campus. And this is a great way for students to get involved, meet a lot of other international students, meet a lot of other American students as well. And we have a very active international student organization, a lot of cultural organizations. So there's a really great opportunity to utilize. But there's also resources for the city of Pittsburgh and a student guide to Pittsburgh. So there's a lot of resources here on this page that we really encourage you to visit after the presentation. And also connect with our students. We have Facebook pages, Instagram. We also have a WeChat account, as well as a WhatsApp group. So I'm pretty familiar with a lot of you on the call today in our WhatsApp group. But you can use this QR code to join, or use one of the emails that we've shared with you. But again, we'll be sharing this with you. And all of our social media and WhatsApp, WeChat are really just great to pay attention to a lot of the event planning that we have for students or upcoming webinars, upcoming on-campus events, important dates. So just like subscribe or follow us there for these types of information. And then here are your next steps for accepted students. So this is more or less a to-do list for you to do now that you've received your admission letter. And you may be somewhere in this process already. This isn't the same instructions for everybody, but it usually goes in this order. So the first thing is to confirm your attendance by logging into the application portal. And you're able to do this just accepting your offer. You're able to do that before you submit the deposit. But at this stage, you also submit your undergraduate deposit of $500 or $250 if you're a graduate student. And once these are submitted, you're given an academic advisor who really will help you schedule classes and talk about your plans this fall. But after you've accepted your offer at Duquesne, you'll need to set up your multi-pass. And to set up your multi-pass is your one digital access to everything on campus. So this is a really important security account. You'll go through different setup instructions to make sure you have access, dual authentication as well. But all you need to have is your D number and the zip code. Both of these are found right on your acceptance letter. So just reference those if you don't have them on hand. And then we also need to get your immigration documents in line. So step number 3 is submitting your financial documents and receiving your I-20. So once you have your multi-pass set up, log into the International Student Portal, and there you'll be able to submit financial documents and request your I-20 form. Now, after you've received this I-20 form, really your steps are to schedule your visa appointment, get your visa, and of course, arrive to the United States. But in the meantime, registering for housing is very important, especially for undergraduate students. Any new undergraduate students are required to live on campus for their first 2 years as a freshman and sophomore. There are exceptions, one being older than 21 years of age. But if you have any questions at all, please email us at inteladmissions or internationaladmissions@duke.edu. And June 15th is the deadline because your roommates will be assigned to you on July 1st. And there's a lot of activities you can do to find your right roommate, to really figure out where you want to live on campus. So it's very important that you complete the housing survey and you register for housing by June 15th. And then here are several of the accounts that we have on campus that you'll be needing to access. So creating your multi-pass account, again, is very, very important. And only students who have paid their deposit have access to create this account. And just remember, you do need the D number and the zip code from your acceptance letter. But you'll be able to use temporary information to create an account from the link on this page. And then this multi-pass, as the name suggests, is your pass to all of our different accounts on campus. So this works for your email, for your Dory, for immigration portal, for paying your bills, for really everything you do at Duquesne is through this multi-pass. And it's automatically created when you submit the deposit to the university. And it's really important that you're regularly accessing these accounts. So multi-pass gives you access to Dory, which is access to all of our student accounts for campus announcements, payments, Blackboard, is for your class schedule. And also your email, which you'll be assigned a Duquesne email address with this account as well. And Mike is going to talk a little bit more about campus life and housing.
Okay, thanks so much, Aaron. So on to campus life and housing. I guess we'll begin talking about living in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh is often referred to as America's most livable city. I like to think of it, and this is sort of echoing what Aaron said, as it's a big little city. It's a little city in terms of it's easy to navigate, but yet we have big city things to do. For instance, we have 3 professional sports teams, one in baseball, one in hockey, and one in football. We have world-class museums, the Carnegie Museum of Art, the Carnegie Museum of Natural History, and the Warhol Museum. We also have really great venues. We're home to the Pittsburgh Symphony, obviously, but we have great venues for all kinds of different performance. Okay, so undergraduate housing. First of all, what you need to know is that all first and second year students are required to live on campus, and this does include transfer students as well, if their credits are still place them in the freshman or sophomore level. So as Aaron pointed to, you need to pay your enrollment deposit. That's really important to have access. Once you do this, you'll need to log on to Dory and complete your housing survey. This will allow you to share the preferences you have for housing and be assigned a roommate. So a couple important facts. One, as Aaron said, the deadline is June 15th. Once you have submitted your housing survey, you will receive a notification via email. Move-in dates. So our early move-in date this year will be August 10th, and regular move-in date will be August 17th. So for graduate housing, while we do have a dormitory specifically devoted to graduate students here at Duquesne, the truth of the matter is most graduate students tend to live off campus. So if you are intending to live off campus, you need to do your research ahead of time. So some helpful websites would include Student Guide to Pittsburgh and the Pittsburgh Apartment Home Living. And you also want to visit our Housing in Pittsburgh website, just to tell you about, desirable neighborhoods and how to find housing. In addition, you'll also want to become close with Commuter Affairs. Commuter Affairs has a wealth of resources for students who desire to live on campus, including a vetted list of landlords that have been approved by the university. Fun fact, Pittsburgh is home to 60,000 students. Second fun fact, of those 60,000 students, a little over 11,000 are international students. Okay, so Pittsburgh is very much a city of neighborhoods. Due to immigration patterns and the topography of the city, we are a city of neighborhoods. In fact, there are more than 90 different neighborhoods in Pittsburgh, each with its own distinct characteristics. We encourage you to explore our neighborhoods during your time here at Duquesne, and it's really a part of the whole Duquesne experience, once again, is the city we're located in. Okay, we are very fortunate here in Pittsburgh to have a relatively new and very safe airport. The Pittsburgh International Airport is located about 30 minutes from campus. Transportation options from the airport into Duquesne include ride-sharing companies like Uber and Lyft, traditional taxi service, shared vans, or for people that really want to arrive in style, executive car with a meet and greet. Once you do arrive on campus, you'll want to report to towers. Okay, so the QR code on the upper right of this slide will give you directions to towers. The physical address is 1345 Viceroy Street, Pittsburgh, PA. And there you can see in the bottom a picture of what the outside of the building looks like. So this would be your initial point of contact once you arrive on campus. They will be expecting you, and it is really important that you allow us to know what your arrival date is so we can have that all set up for you. Okay, so Pittsburgh is very much Duquesne is very much a self-contained campus. Everything is within walkable distance. We sit on a 50-acre campus on a hill that overlooks the city. When students are on campus, although they don't really feel like they're in the city, it's a very verdant park-like environment. However, if students want to venture into the city to have dinner at a restaurant or to see a show or to attend a sporting event, that's all within walking distance as well. So very accessible. Okay, so the weather part. So we are right now moving out of spring and into our summer months. We are a four-season city here in Pittsburgh. For me, the most desirable time is fall. Fall is very spectacular here with the turning of the leaves and the crisp weather. And of course, we do have winter. However, what I would say about winter is we are not so far north or the kind of city where once it snows, there is snow covering the ground for 3 months at a time. We usually go through it snows, it melts, it snows some more, it melts some more. However, really, it's important that you do pack a warm coat for those winter months.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Yeah,
I'll
thank
get
you, Aaron.
started about some final documents and forms, but I also like to point out that I've grown up in a city with a lot of snow, and since moving to Pittsburgh, really there's not that much snow here. But we also have seen a lot of students, if you already have a coat, that's great, pack it. But if you've never had a coat or if you're in a place where you don't really need a winter coat, it's really good to just buy them when you get here. We usually have really good sales, especially in an area with these types of climates. You have a lot of opportunities to get some good deals here, but it is nice to experience all four seasons here at Pittsburgh. But here are some of the final documents and forms that we'll need from you either before your arrival or right when you arrive. So prior to your arrival, all students should prepare the following. We do need your health history online via Dory, which is the student portal that we spoke about earlier. And then on this page, you'll have a link to all of the required vaccinations that you are to have before you arrive to campus. If you don't have all of them, please let us know, and we can work with you to see what options you have on campus to get some of these vaccinations. And again, these are all outside of COVID-19 vaccinations. We'll speak about this later in the about COVID-19 later in the presentation. But we do also need a copy of your immunization forms, and please bring these straight with you to international orientation. And very important here, we do need proof of health insurance. So if all students, especially international students, are required to have health insurance when they're on campus. So you are able to have your own health insurance, but if not, we do offer a Duquesne program called SHIP, which this link will take you to. But we do need to make sure if you have your own international insurance that it does meet our requirements. And you can email Anne at the link below for any of the questions about your insurance policy. But if not, you are able to get the insurance on your first semester. And please note this is required and a very hard requirement for all international students. But after we've gotten your health insurance, some of your health history, connecting with your academic advisor is how you will register for classes. So they'll guide you through kind of what your interests are, what availabilities there are, and really what's your best bet for scheduling classes for fall. And then obtain your official transcripts and bring them with you to international orientation. These are also important to bring. And then here's some more information about orientation and tuition payments. So this year, orientation will be held both in person and virtually to accommodate for any students who are arriving late this semester. But orientation will be on Thursday, August 12th at 7:15 a.m. I know this is a bit early, but these the beginning sessions are really more virtual. And then we do have in-person sessions later in the morning for lunch and afternoon resource fairs and campus tours, shopping trips. So we have a really big program planned for everyone on Thursday and Friday before the start of classes. And this is a great way to meet other new students, meet all of our cultural ambassadors, which are an organization of students that really just help international students acclimate to campus. Some students are international, some students are from the United States. So it's a really great mix of students who are willing to help and really get you acclimated to the United States. But at orientation, you'll get immigration, class registration, and student service information, meet with on-campus departments such as health services. You'll get a tour of campus, and we have a lot of fun activities throughout the city for that weekend and for that Thursday and Friday for all of our students to attend. But again, we are recording our orientation. They will be held virtually as well because we do know students will have some later arrivals or you may not be able to get here before August 12th. But important documents to bring with you and pack these on with your carry-on luggage just to make sure that they do not get lost and we don't have any kind of travel issues. But we do require you to bring your secondary school academic transcripts, your post-secondary academic transcripts, if applicable, and your health services requirement. So a copy of all your health records, also translated into English, and $60 in cash or card to bring to the health center, and proof of health insurance that must meet all the requirements. And if they do not meet the requirements or you do not have health insurance, you will automatically be billed on your tuition for the Duquesne health insurance plan. And how to make tuition payments. So you're able to do everything online through Dory, and you log into Dory, go to the self-service banner, and under student information, you're able to view your student account. And for international students, we encourage the use of Flywire, which is an international wire transfer website and company that offers really great foreign exchange rates. And in most cases, you're able to pay in your home currency. You get an email confirmation. It's a pretty quick transfer through Flywire. But if you have any other questions, again, please feel free to email us. You're also able to pay in cash or credit card. But please note there are fees associated with credit card payments for your tuition. And then the payment deadline for your tuition is August 27th. And that's either to pay your tuition in full or to have enrolled in one of our payment plans, which begin a little bit earlier. And if you have questions about our payment plans, a lot of the information about this is in our website as well. And then here are some important dates before the start of classes this fall. So confirming your attendance, your absolute deadline is July 1st, along with your undergraduate tuition deposit of July 1st. And this also is for your graduate tuition deposit. But the undergraduate housing survey, important to do before June 15th. So you're assigned a roommate by July 1st. And then we do have the undergraduate early move-in day of August 10th. So if you are a student and you've submitted your housing, if you're an undergraduate student and you've submitted your housing survey, you're able to move in on the 10th, but we just need to know about that in your housing survey. But again, August 12th and 13th is International Student Orientation, and the first day of classes is August 23rd, and tuition payments are due on August 30th, the week after classes start. And I wanted to discuss some of the fall arrival updates. So these are, given the situation of COVID-19, we're very well aware of what's happening in the world, and a lot of our students are coming from India. And we know that there are some difficulties for students to get their visa appointments and secure their visa in time. But we'll really talk about these are the options for students to arrive. So this is for students who have received their F1 visa in time to enroll in face-to-face classes on August 23rd. You're able to arrive anywhere between July 24th and August 10th, because that's 30 days before your start of classes. And that's really where you're able to move in as well. The latest arrival that we have for students is really 1 week after classes. And these are for students who are arriving full-time in person, that you will need to be here in person. Let me check. So we do have these options. Some students, if you're in a program that has online options, you will be able to begin online and arrive a little bit later in the semester, say after you get your visa. But you do need to work with your academic advisor to make sure that you're able to begin your program online before you arrive. So this is applicable for some of our graduate programs and some undergraduate programs, but you really need to be working with your advisor because this fall, Duquesne University will be fully in person. All of our classes are going to be back to in-person courses and in-person instruction, with some of our programs having online options. So if you are one of those students with an online option, you may be able to start online and arrive later if your visa appointment is a little bit late and not before August or before orientation. And then if you are unable to arrive or unable to enroll in online classes, you will have the option to defer your offer to spring 2022. That is if your program has a fall and a spring start. Some of our programs are only able to be started in the fall, so you would have to defer your offer for a full year. But again, try to vet out those options of getting online or keep trying for your visa appointment to see if you're able to get one before the start of classes. And we know the 30 days before classes start, students will be eligible for emergency appointments as well. So you might have chances to reschedule your appointment once we get closer to the start of classes, where international students seeking F1 or J1 visas will be prioritized to get their visa appointments. But again, if you can't, you do have an option to defer. And please note that the deferral request would be due by August 16th. So we need to know this in advance. And you do need to submit the enrollment deposits, both for graduate and undergraduate, to secure your deferral and to get the offer for the next semester. And if your enrollment deposit is not submitted, your deferral will not be approved and you will have to reapply. But if you do this and you already hold an I-20, we may defer, we would just have to update your I-20 to reflect the deferral. And back to you, Mike.
Thanks so much, Aaron. That was a ton of information. Hey, I'm just going to piggyback on the deferral. You know, we realize that access to embassies right now is problematic, and I just wanted to add that, you know, if you do deposit and you decide to defer, if that is possible, you know, it really helps in maintaining your admission status and as well as whatever scholarships you have. So it's something to think about carefully, and, you know, you will need to deposit to be able to do that. Okay, so even before you get here, it is possible to connect with Duquesne students. So we really encourage you to go ahead to duke.edu, Faces of Duquesne. There you can find a list of students, both domestic and international, that you'll be able to connect with and, you know, ask questions that maybe guys like Aaron and I, you know, that you'll get more exact answers from students. So we really encourage you to go ahead, start making those connections, you know, in addition to all the background work that we talked about all day, go ahead and connect with students ahead of time as well. Okay, so I think that's the last slide for us today. We do have contact information here, the Intel admissions address, my email address, Aaron's email address, as well as our immigration advisor, Mary Beth Morris. So I guess we can go ahead and answer questions now that we have in the chat. So yeah, Aaron, do you want me to fire you a question to start off with?
Sure, yeah.
Are student transcripts acceptable?
Yeah, so we do require official transcripts. So as long as they come from your university, they either have a signature or a seal, those will be accepted as official transcripts. Do you have anything to add, Mike?
Yeah, just that, you know, we can make admission decisions based on, you know, based on transcripts that were submitted by the student. However, those, when the student arrives on campus, they should have official transcripts with them.
All right, next question. We have a question. Mike, I request you to please also explain the COVID guidelines upon arrival to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I wish I could explain them more clearly. We are still working on policy right now. There has not been a decision made in terms of vaccinated students on whether vaccination will be recommended or required. We are expecting that decision to come out within the next couple of weeks. I think it is safe to say that just as throughout the pandemic, I think it's safe to say that you should plan on doing a 14-day self-quarantine prior to arrival. And the last thing I would add to that is we are vaccinating on campus. So students are able to get vaccinations right here at Duquesne.
And I just add to that, the guidance still states that you do need a negative COVID-19 test before 72 hours before you fly. So really, once we get closer to fall and once we have, like, we're closer to students actually flying and arriving, we'll explain and give a lot of these instructions to all of our international students. As soon as Duquesne has policy for vaccines, if they will be required. But at this point, they are not required for fall. And if anything changes, we'll help to communicate this to all of our students. So once we get these updates, we'll help share them with you.
Right, so we have another question here. How long does it take to process the F1 visa? So that is really an embassy question. And we know that there are wait times vary across the globe, anywhere from, 7 calendar days to, 200 calendar days. What we cannot control, F1 visa processing. What we can control is issuing you the I-20. So we cannot issue the I-20 until we receive your financial support form with supporting documentation. So, if you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out to any of the emails on this last slide, and we will be glad to help you with that. But yeah, as far as F1 process for F1 visa, that is really embassy dependent and really varies across the globe.
And if you haven't visited, we've had a series of webinars for visa tips, visa process that we can share with you as well. We have the recordings available, but if you have not begun your I-20 form process or scheduled your visa appointment, we urge you to start that as soon as possible, especially given the international climate. There are a lot of delays or it's difficult to get appointments. So if you're able to submit your financial documents and get your I-20 form and schedule your appointment as soon as possible, that will really help processing your F1 visa more quickly.
Great. And so we have a question, Aaron, about orientation being virtual at 7:15 a.m. I'm not sure whether that's a question or a complaint, but go ahead and field that one.
Yeah, so we are starting at 7:15 a.m. in the United States. This is really to accommodate for the wide range of time zones that we have for students that might not be here on time. So this again is a virtual portion in the beginning. So we'll have some morning sessions with introductions and meetings and introducing a lot of our staff on campus. But the in-person events really don't start until lunchtime in the United States on the East Coast. So we'll have a lot of in-person events at lunch in the afternoon on the first day and then all day on the next day as well. But we will be recording the virtual orientation because there's a lot of instructions there. We have a bigger to-do list for you guys when you get here on campus. So it's very important to attend, and it is mandatory for all international students. If you are unable to attend, we do have online modules that you'll be able to complete, but it's a lot easier if you just attend orientation with us. And you're able to register online with the links provided in this presentation today.
Yep. So we have another question about late arrivals, basically. What happens if I cannot get my visa and be there for the start of classes? And right now, the answer to that question is it depends what program you're in. We do have some programs that will start online to accommodate for late arrivals. However, that is not a universal policy. So you'd really want to check with your department to find out about that. In addition, you can also check with us and we'll be glad to do some of that legwork for you and be able to guide you in the right direction. But as of right now, late arrivals are really dependent upon program. And there is no universal policy at Duquesne at this moment in time. We know that some graduate courses or some graduate programs will be offered online so students can go ahead and begin and arrive late, but that is not across the board.
And just quickly, that's most of our graduate business programs, our biotechnology master's program, and there are options for computer science, but please note that the coursework is synchronous with the United States. So you would have to attend your classes online during the time zone of the United States, which can be a little difficult for some time zones, but definitely feasible for others.
And there is just one last word on that, Aaron. There is talk about creating a suite of classes at the undergraduate level that would be available hybrid. We are meeting with that later with those folks later this week to see if that is going to be a possibility. And as soon as we, obviously, as soon as we have word about that, we will send it out.
We have a couple questions about advisors and when can you register for courses. So the first, when are you able to register for class? So you're able to register now for classes. So if you submitted your enrollment deposit, you have your academic advisor, you are able to schedule undergraduate and graduate courses already. So please work with your advisor. This is how you'll be able to schedule these and really get your fall schedule already built. And then we have another one. Can we plan our coursework plan with the advisor upon arrival? There isn't any COVID restrictions to enter the Duquesne campus. Mike, do you mind answering the advisor coursework upon arrival?
Yeah, you can make an appointment with your advisor and your advice. I mean, this happens all the time. You can meet with your advisor, prior to class. However, as far as protocols on coming onto campus, as I said earlier, I think those details will be ironed out in the next week or two. But right now, I can't answer that question definitively as far as you know, restrictions or non-restrictions as far as accessing campus. And then we have a question also about, will you email the I-20 to my country or will it be sent electronically? During the pandemic, something good that did come out of the pandemic is we were able to deliver I-20s electronically, and that policy has continued to stay in place. The only thing I would say about that is really check with your embassy to make sure if there's a preference there. I know there are a few embassies around the world that are specifically requesting hard copies of the I-20. And if that is the case, of course, we will mail it to you.
And when you are emailed your digital I-20, there is instructions if you would like to request the print mail version of it through eShip Global, and that's where you're able to submit a payment request to have your I-20 physically mailed to you in country. And then we had another question. So as an international student, how am I supposed to complete my clearances form for marriage, couples, and family counseling before my arrival? Mike, do you know about that one?
I don't know exactly about that, but I'm not sure what you mean by clearances form, I guess is my question. I'm not exactly sure about what you mean by that, but my advice on that would be to go ahead and contact Mary Beth Morris, our immigration advisor, and I would shoot her an email directly asking about that question. Usually, as far as I-20s or immigration, that information is always included as part of the process. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure with clearances. Those usually need to be done if you're talking about clearances to work in classrooms or to work with young children, things of that nature. Those usually take place upon arrival.
And you
Mike
can
and
speak.
Erin, do you mind yeah.
Hey, Onion.
I think I can answer this question. I'm from clinical mental health counseling program. I think those clearance that you can only get it from America, because those clearances is about your child abuse history, your crime record, something like that. I don't think you can do that from your home country, but if you can't make it before the semester started, I will suggest you to contact your academic advisor to explain your situation, and I think it will be okay to let them postpone your due date for these clearances. So don't worry about that.
Sweet. Thanks, Onion. Yeah, so when you arrive, I think that's a great option. But if you have any questions, speak with your academic advisor. So our next question is, can we reach there by September and a visa process is not done before 27th of August? So this is dependent on your program. If you have those online options, you will be able to begin online, but you do need to attend your classes at the latest 1 week after they start. That's really the maximum you're allowed to miss. So if you're unable to begin your classes online, you will not be able to arrive later in the semester, and you'd either have to defer to spring or to next fall or summer if there's an option.
So Erin, we have a question about how do I know who my advisor is? And yeah, that's an excellent question. So what you'll need to do to find that information out is first you'll need to deposit, then you'll need to set up your multi-pass. Once this is set up, your advisor will be automatically assigned to you. They usually go through a system here we call Starfish. So that's what you would want to be looking out for. But that process is automated after you have, as I said, deposited and set up your multi-pass.
And these are applicable to undergraduate and graduate students. PhD academic advisors are assigned a little bit later. Because I believe we had a similar question in a recent seminar or webinar. But PhD advisors, I believe, are being assigned this July. So just hold off a little bit longer if you have a PhD program, but all of our undergraduate and graduate students are automatically assigned their academic advisor, and you're able to access that in Starfish as well as Dory. And there are instructions that we went over today that we'll be sharing with everybody.
Yeah, and I just see, it's just as a follow-up while we're on that, that this person said that they paid their deposit and set up their pass 2 weeks ago. So if you are a PhD student, that might be the case. If you're not a PhD student, please write me directly at burkm3@duq.edu, and I'll help you solve that issue.
Okay, and I think one of our last questions is, I submitted my immunization form, but the health department didn't remove the hold over my Dory. Knowingly, I emailed them with no answer. I would try to follow up again, but you can add one of our emails if you'd like into your follow-up email. But they might be reviewing your immunization records before the hold is removed. And this should really only be if you're a current student. Once they have received your immunization forms, you should be able to register. But if you have any questions, please throw one of our email addresses onto your reply and we can help you get that sorted.
Yeah, and just as a follow-up to that, often what we find on immunization holds are two things. One, in the United States, students are required to have 2 MMRs, and in a lot of the rest of the world, there's only a 1 MMR requirement. So that could be a potential snag on why you still have a hold on your case. Another issue is that the TB test must be done within 14 days of arrival. So we're still a bit far out from there, and that could also be an issue as well with the hold. However, as Aaron said, reach out to health services directly, and they are more than happy. They want to help you be compliant with healthcare regulations.
All right, do we have any more questions? Feel free to unmute yourself too if you'd like to ask them directly, or continue to put them into the chat box. But we do have a few more minutes left in the webinar if you'd like to ask Mike or me any more questions. Clinice, you raised your hand.
Hi, good day. I would like to find out if I can submit the TB test results now, because I had to do it to come to the US with the scholarship program that I have applied to. So I wanted to know if I could have submitted those results now and if I needed to get it done when I come to the US again, because I'm not sure of the exact travel dates, if it would be done because in the 14 days, and I know the immunization form is due July the 31st. So is it possible that I can submit these results I have now and then do over the tests when I come to the US?
Sorry, which test results are you speaking of?
The TB test results.
TB. Mike, do you have any information on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Clinice, thank you so much for the question. What I can tell you is that the TB test must be administered within 14 days of your arrival. If it's outside of that framework, it won't count. It won't qualify as a pass. You can get the TB test upon arrival. You can do it right here at the university. I believe the cost is about $60 US, but it can be done right here at the university. And we really, I think sometimes students come and they want to shop around about the cost, but really the cost on the TB test is the same no matter where you go. And it's just so much more convenient to have it done here. It's documented that you're in process. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, outside of 14 days, the TB test won't count.
Okay, thank you. And my last question, so the meningitis waiver, could that be submitted on Dory as well?
That is correct. The meningitis requirement is only if you're going to live in the dormitories. If you are, a graduate student and you're planning to live off campus, then you'll be able to waive out of the meningitis requirement.
And we got another question in the chat if you don't have any other questions, Clinice. So we have, how can I upload my immunization proof? And this is done through Dory. where you can submit all of these proofs. So if you already have your multipass set up and you have access to Dory, you're able to submit them directly there. And all of the appropriate links are in the PDF that we'll be sharing with you after this meeting. And oh yeah, the deadline. Mike, is the deadline before they arrive to campus?
In general, for healthcare compliance?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so,
Sure.
Outside of the TB test, obviously, which has to be within the 14-day range, my strong advice is to get your materials in, get them in early, so you know if you're lacking something. Even with, I know there's certain parts of the world where the MMR, only one shot of the MMR is required. And we just think it is so much easier if students take care of that in their home country prior to arrival, because it will delay registration. There'll be a hold on your account. This is, our health services takes this very seriously. And to be quite frank with you, the pandemic has probably even heightened that seriousness.
All right, are there any other questions that you guys have? Because if not, we'll wrap up in a few minutes. But again, just a reminder, this presentation has been recorded, and we'll be sending you the full recording via email and this PowerPoint presentation in that same email later today. So just wait a few hours as we process some videos, get the presentation ready, and we'll have them sent to you. But I see another hand rose by Noor. Do you have a question?
Yes, please. Thank you so very much.
Mhm.
So I'm an online doctorate student. Would I still need the immunization form to be submitted? Because I'm an online doctorate, so I don't have housing nor anything. I just do it online from Israel.
Oh, yeah. Are you completing your full program online and therefore never stepping foot on campus?
Yes, yes. Also, I cannot even my I-20 is not. I'm not eligible for I-20 because I'm an online student.
All right, then you might have to reach out just to make sure that you aren't being charged for anything or the holds aren't on your account. But as long as you have access to your Dory and there's no hold on your account, you should be good to go. But your immunization records, your health insurance, those are not required if you are completely online without a visa to come to the United States.
I still have the holds, but I don't know who to reach out in this case.
Then you want to reach out to health services. Their email's in here as well, or on our website, but they'll be the ones to remove the hold directly from your account. Just tell them that you're an online student and they'll remove them almost instantly.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah, no problem. And Nora, I would just add to that if you're still having problems, once again, reach out to one of us here on this slide, and we'll be glad to assist you as well if you're not making any headway with having that hold released.
All right, and then one of our last questions, is there a specific test for tuberculosis? I believe so, Mike.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not a doctor, but there is, so there's two different kinds of tests. There's a blood test where they actually draw blood and test, and then there's a skin scratch test. My understanding is that the blood test, which I believe they call Q Gold, is much more preferable. There can be, when you do the scratch test, there can be a lot of false negatives with the scratch test, with the skin scratch test. So if you are planning on doing it, I'm pretty sure that the test is called Q Gold.
But we also have another question about the tuberculosis results and immunization records. We would love to answer these questions, but both Mike and I are not the experts in these areas, so we would have to defer these questions to health services. And again, their emails are in this presentation, but if you email anyone at Duquesne Student Health Services, they'll be able to answer these questions more completely for you. But if there are no other questions, we're going to wrap up. So thank you everybody so much for attending today. We had a lot of great questions. We hope you enjoyed a lot of the information. And real quickly, I saw one last question. Can I take the TB test once I arrive at Duquesne? And the answer is yes, right, Mike?
That is correct. You can do it right here, actually in the same building we're located in the Union building. We have a pharmacy and they will administer the TB test right here. And please take my word for it that that is the preferable way to go rather than seeking, that healthcare system in the US can be very complicated. It's an excellent healthcare system, but it can be complicated. Uncomplicate your life and just have it done right here at the university.
And we'll be reviewing a lot of this information during orientation, which is about a week before the start of classes. So you'll be meeting with our health services. You'll meet with a lot of offices on campus to make sure everything is prepared for your arrival. That's why we do have this a little bit earlier than the start of classes, just to make sure everyone's got their to-do lists done. But if you haven't registered already, we'll be sharing the link for fall orientation as well, where you can register, see the event, see some of the in-person events that we have. But again, if you have any questions, email us at International Admissions, email Mike directly, feel free to email me. If you have any immigration questions, email immigration@duq.edu. But thanks again, everybody. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Aaron. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.